good morning, and welcome to Right Way Living and Transformation. I'm your host, Martha Wright. Welcome on this last Wednesday of October 2024. What a blessed day. Well, y'all excuse me. I got up, took grandbaby to school, and then I went for my little walk. So, hey, I'm just up and running. No makeup, nothing. So, I'm keeping it real. Well, praise God. I just wanted to come on this morning to give you a word of encouragement to don't give up. I tell you this all the time. Don't give in. Know that you are safe in God's arm. Know that you are protected by God. I think about last Sunday, I was able to minister a word to the group that I fellowship with on Sunday morning, and the word was from First Kings chapter 18. But this morning, I was thinking about that, but I want to go back to First Kings chapter 17, and see in this time period, they were going through a famine, right? They were going through a drought in the land. And Elijah, who was a prophet of God, he loved God, he served God with all his heart. Um, he was a man that, he knew who his God was, and he knew what his God could do. So anyway, through this drought, I want to just show you how God can keep us protected and safe. Because he did this with Elijah, and this really, really touched me as I was walking this morning. They was going through this drought, this famine in the land. But God gave Elijah specific instructions to go to a certain place where by a brook with the water, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, where he would receive water to drink. And he said, also, I'll send some ravens to feed you bread and manna. Now, thinking about it, birds going to bring him some food to eat. And plus, they're in a drought and everything, but God is going to provide him with the water that he needs. He told him, but you need to go to this particular spot. Hide yourself. And, God said, I got you. I got you. I'm going to take care of you. And that's just exactly what he did. As Elijah obeyed, he made sure that Elijah had the water to drink, and also that the birds would come and feed him um, manna and bread. So, in other words, Elijah had everything that he needed, despite what was going on in that particular time. So, if we think about it, I was just thinking as I was walking this morning. I thought about as we as a nation, you know, how we all went through this thing, COVID, a pandemic, for for about 2 or 3 years, right? We went through this pandemic and everything was shut down. Um, People were losing their jobs. I mean, y'all remember? I mean, people were losing their lives due to this pandemic. And I had just recently got a position in surgery, a position that I had, I prayed to God for. I wanted something different. I read heart monitors, and I did unit secretary work, and I did different little things all throughout my life. But most of all, I read heart monitors, and I would be in a specific little room, and it was no windows, just a little closed in area. And all I did for 12 hours was read different people's heart rhythms. And you might say, wow, that's boring, but it really is exciting because I didn't have just one person heart rhythm I'm reading and watching. I was stuck sometime maybe with 40 different rhythms that I had to read. But, God really helped me to get through that and and bless me to do my job to the fullest. So, as I stayed in that position for a while, I asked God, I said, I love people, Lord, and I like being around people. So I asked that you bless me with another position. And I wanted my own space. I wanted my own office space. I wanted to be able to say this was my part. I mean, we had a little space in the, when in the room where I was reading heart monitors, yeah, we had particular little spaces, but I wanted my own space, where my own room, where I can really decorate it. I could see it in my head exactly what I wanted. I did. I seen it. I pictured it just exactly as I wanted it, and I went to God with it. And he granted me the desires of my heart. He gave me such a nice space, a nice, beautiful area in the surgery department. I was the first face that everybody would see when they come in to register for surgery, um, for their procedures or whatever. And so I was really grateful for that area. I mean, I had windows all around me. I mean, some people would just take it for granted, but I had such a beautiful scenery. Everything was just amazing. God really, worked it out for me. And even as we was going through this pandemic, where surgeries were being canceled, people were being canceled from the job, people being transferred to different facilities so that they can get their hours in, so they wouldn't lose pay or anything. But the thing about it, God kept me right there in that spot, in that space, at that desk. The desire, the space that I had desired for years and years, he kept me right there. I mean, it was quiet in that area because we didn't have people coming in and out because of COVID. Um, some of the employees would come and sit with me and talk every now and then. Some had some negative words, and they would go to the manager and say, well, why is Miss Martha being allowed to stay at that desk when everybody else is being transferred to different facilities, have to go work in different areas, or being canceled off of the job, off of the cancel from the number of hours they're getting. I mean, it was just all type of negativity and things thrown that some didn't even think I knew about, but I did. But God still kept me safe. That's the main thing I want you to get. God still kept me safe. He protected me. He gave me the desires of my heart. And I just truly believe, just like as Elijah, during the famine, they didn't have any water or anything. No, the food had dried up and everything. But he gave Elijah a particular spot that he can go to, and he kept him. He protected him. He took care of him. And that's exactly what he did with me as well. Now, some of you might look at it like, oh, that was just a coincidence, or they just felt sorry for you. I don't know what you may think, but I know with the God I serve, that all worked out for my good. So I say that to say not to brag, but I'm bragging on my God, yes. But, sometimes we try to, oh gosh, we try to look at we just don't understand the favor that you may have. And I thank God for his favor that he has upon me. And he has the same favor upon you. And we just have to be obedient, trust in him, wait on what he's telling us to do, just like Elijah did. He told Elijah what to do, a specific place to go to. And if Elijah didn't do that, he probably wouldn't have received the water that he needed, the food that he needed. But he was obedient, and he probably was asking, Lord, how is this going to happen? And everybody else is going through this, that, and the other. How is this going to happen with me? But he was obedient, he followed through, and God took care of him. Well, going on through the story, as we read on through the story, and y'all go back and read it, 1 Kings 17, where the water dried up, because remember, they're in the famine, so that water was eventually going to dry up too. So the water dried up, and he gave Elijah more instruction. He said, well, now I need you to go to this town, and there's going to be a widow lady there that will take care of you and provide you for everything that you need. Well, Elijah knew exactly what God had did before. He already trusted in God, and beforehand, he was obedient to what God told him before. So he knew he had to be obedient again and follow through what God tells him to do again. Because when God says do something, and when he lines it out and he tells you to go, he tells you what to do, the path is already made for you. It's already made for you. So just like myself, even he gave me the desires of my heart of having that particular position, that space. He gave me exactly what I asked for. Exactly what I asked for. But then he told me my season was up there. So my season was up. I trained some other people for the position and everything. I could have felt um, because I knew my season was coming, becoming it was coming to a close. I knew what God was telling me, so it wasn't like I got that position. She wished she would have kept it. No, I knew what my next season was. I didn't know what it was going to be entailed. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but God told me my season was coming to an end in as in that surgery position. So I was getting myself prepared just as God told me to do. I was walking in the ways and the alignment that He told me to walk in, to do the things that He told me to do. Now, I didn't know what to expect with this retirement because I was making some good change. Listen, I was making some good change and everything, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna change into this. I might not have the same amount of finances as I had then. God, how is this gonna work out? We don't know. We don't know the how. We don't know when, but all we have to know is to trust in God. So what He had for me to do was, um, God told me my season was ending in that surgery department. What He wanted me to do was to minister His word to the people, to minister His word to the people. So I'm doing it now, as I'm doing here on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. I have different biblical studies that I'm sharing with other people and leading people closer to God and telling about His kingdom. And I didn't know the how. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I had to trust God in the process. I had to trust Him, just like Elijah when he told Elijah, go to this next city. There's going to be a widower there, and she's going to take care of you. Now, this widower, when you read the story, she said, I can't take care of this man. I don't have enough. But God was showing her as well. He was teaching her something as well in this process, that He was going to provide for her as well. So she was being taught a lesson through this journey as well. So you see how God orchestrates. He works in so mysterious ways, right? We don't know what to expect. We don't know what God has in store. Many people told me, girl, you're going to be so bored. What are you going to do when you get home? You might not be making the money that you make. You're going to be lost. You might not have enough money to do this, that, and the other. But listen, if I would have listened to what the people say and walked in the way that people wanted me to walk in, I wouldn't be in the desire. I wouldn't be walking in the will and the way that God has me walking in right now. And I feel great. I'm fulfilled, and I thank God. Now, let me get you straight too with everybody that's going to be going through something like this, or God is telling you to move in a different direction. God is telling you, I'm not telling you to quit your job or whatever, but maybe God is telling you, it's time to go to another position, or it's time to quit the job and go elsewhere. I'm not telling you it's going to be totally easy, but you have to trust. You have to trust. In Proverbs 3, it tells us to trust in the Lord with all, not some, but with all of our heart, and lean not to our own understanding. When you start leaning to your own understanding, you start doing things your way. And it might work out. God could allow it to work out, but it won't work out as smooth as if we would have waited on Him. Or it could just go to chaos, total disaster. But He says to trust in Him with all of his heart. Lean not to your own understanding. But then He says, trust in Him with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, not some of your ways, not a little bit of your ways, but in all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straighter and brighter. God already knows the path that He has you to go on. He already knows the plans for your life. He knows the plans. He knew you in your mother's womb, and that's in the Word of God in Jeremiah 29:11. He knew you while you were in your mother's womb. He already knew the plans for your life. Now it's up to us as we hear that umption, or hear that, get that feeling deep inside. My time is up. It's a new season for me to go into. It's something different God has for me to do. I'm not going to just sit here because I'm worried about how the next paycheck. I'm not going to just sit here because everybody else is telling me what I need to do and I need to stay. I got to trust God with everything I do. Just like Elijah did, he trusted God. Even in a famine, he didn't know that because everybody else was out of food and water, but God provided for him. And then when that water stream dried up, God still had something for Elijah. He sent him somewhere else, but he had to be obedient enough to listen to what God was saying, go where God told him to go, and to do what God told him to do. And that goes with you and me as well. If we just be obedient, we listen, we pay attention. Don't worry about what everybody else say. Because y'all, I'm going to tell y'all from experience, the more you're going to have more negativity. You're going to have more people telling you you shouldn't. It don't look right. You're not going to make it. It's not going to work. You don't know what's going to work. You don't know how it's going to work out until you just trust God and just do it. Just do it. So this morning, I want you to know that you're safe. You're protected by God. You trust in him. Be obedient in what he's telling you to do. Don't be afraid. Sometimes if you are afraid, do it afraid, because he's going to make a way for you. If you be obedient, if you trust him, if you lean not to your own understanding, and just like Elijah, he made a way for him out of no way, and he'll make a way for you. That's my word of encouragement this morning. I pray that it blesses you just as much as it's blessing me. And again, I'm not saying it's going to be peachy keen, all it's going to be a bed of roses, but let me tell you, once you go through the storm, once you go through it all, because we have to learn. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our transgressions. We learn from our ups and downs. It's a learning. Life is a learning experience. Once you get through it, you're walking in it, and you walk in your blessings. You walk in your blessings, and you can see the work of God in your life. Guess what, though? It's another door that he's going to be opening for you. So at least you done been through one door. So you know, if you keep trusting God, every door that you go through is going to be a blessing. I love y'all. Enjoy this last Wednesday of October 2024. Be blessed and be a blessing. Have a great day. Bye-bye.